Good evening. Welcome to the Design Review Board meeting for March 14th, 2024. The DRB meeting is called to order. Please refrain from talking amongst yourselves during the meeting, and please turn off your cell phone or silent them at this time. The DRB meeting is being broadcast live on Glendale TV, viewable on Spectrum Cable, Channel 6, and AT&T Uverse, Channel 99. Meetings are also streamed live in high definition on the city's webpage at glendaleca.gov/live, on youtube.com/myglendale, and on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire devices using a free app called ScreenWeave, choosing Glendale TV from the menu. Meetings are also archived on the city website and viewable anytime at glendaleca.gov/agendas. For public comments and questions during the meeting, please call 818-937-8100. City staff will be submitting questions and comments in real time to the appropriate person. Current DRB agendas and staff reports are available by visiting our website at www.glendaleca.gov. Record of decisions for all projects will be posted online on the Planning Division's website. Please note that any appeal of a case heard today must be filed within 15 calendar days of the DRB's decision date. Meetings are also archived. The appeal application is available online. This will be roll call. Board Member Kaskanian.
Present.
Board Member Lakarev.
Present.
Board Member Simonian is absent. Madam Chair Chagayan is absent. And Board Member Welsh.
Present.
Because the chair is absent.
Point of order. She is the new chair. We elected her last time.
I apologize. I thought that, we will not do a roll call for pro tem. So my apologies, Madam Chair Lakarev. So.
Don't worry.
Reports regarding the posting of the agenda. The agenda for the March 14th, 2024 regular meeting of the Glendale Design Review Board was posted on the city's website on March 7th, 2024, and on the bulletin board outside City Hall on March 11th, 2024. Approval of minutes. I do see we do have minutes from the last meeting. Do we have any comments?
We actually don't have enough members here that were at that meeting to make that approval this time.
Okay, we will have the approval minutes of forwarded to the next meeting.
Correct.
Very good. Thank you. Oral communications. Discussion is limited to items not part of this agenda. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Design Review Board may question or respond to speakers, but there will be no debate or decision. Do we have any speaker cards for oral communications?
We do.
Okay.
Sorry, not for oral communications, sorry.
So it seems like all the cards are for the items this evening.
Correct.
Thank you. Moving on to board commissioner member comments. Do we have any comments?
Not at this time.
Thank you. I see there's no old business, so we're going to move straight into new business. And we're going to move to item A, which is a property located at 1519 Glenmont Drive, which I'll be presenting. So just give me a couple seconds here. I'll pull up my presentation.
Great. Thank you.
As mentioned before, the item A is at 1519 Glenmont Drive. Pardon me. The subject property is generally located within the northern portions of Rossmoyne neighborhood, as you can see on this map here. The subject lot is regular shape and approximately 25,000 square feet, with an average current slope of 23%. At present, the site is developed with one-story, approximately 2,200 square foot, one-story single-family residence, which was constructed in 1942. The topography of the site generally has an upward slope, beginning from the southern portions of the lot, with a flat pad of the central portions of the lot. And on the adjacent lot to the north, the terrain continues to upslope, as shown on this graphic. Continue with site context. As shown in the blue border graphic, the property is located at the terminus of Glenmont Drive. Currently, the site is developed with an existing house that was constructed above the existing flat pad, which was graded around the time the house was developed. To the north of and on the adjacent property, as shown on the previous slide, the terrain continues to slope upwards with a steep terrain. Visibility from the southern neighborhood, from Dwight Drive, features an uphill slope terrain, which extends to the flat pad as shown on the purple outline or graphic. In summary of the site planning proposal, the project is to demolish the single-family residence and to construct an approximately 5,200 square foot, two-story single-family residence, which is shaded in green, an approximately 800 square foot attached patio, and an approximately 360 square foot detached patio, which is shaded in orange, and also a approximately 564 square foot infinity pool with a 124 square foot spa. The project will propose a balanced grading of approximately 50 cubic yards of fill, cut and fill. Overall, staff supports the site planning of this project, as will be largely taking place above the existing flat pad. However, staff does have comments regarding to the pool at the rear. The site plan demonstrates there's a 2-foot contour interval at the rear, which slopes downwards, which portions of the infinity pool will be built above. The top of the pool wall will be at its maximum height of 8 feet. To minimize the massing from the neighborhood, viewed from Dwight Drive down below, staff recommends to relocate the spa and recess the pool approximately 6 to 8 feet into the hillside to reduce the overall height of the pool wall and provide massing and relief from the neighborhoods down below, which the pool wall would be approximately 2 to 3 feet when viewed from the neighborhood down below. In terms of mass and scale, the property will, while it will be larger than the neighborhood context, the building's massing is reduced because it'll be approximately 84 feet away from the street front property line. And as you can see from this graphic here, from the rendering and the street view, it is partially obscured by the neighbor's uphill topography, and you can see it conceals partial of the property when viewed from the street. Additionally, the new dwelling will not be overbearing to the adjacent neighborhood due to its setbacks on the lot, as well as be stepped back on the second levels at the front, sides, and rear. And at the rear, which is oriented towards the rear and the downslope of the lot, the second level will step back approximately 12 feet from the ground floor below it. Overall, the new building will be sited once again above the flat portions of the site. The second floor is stepped away from the downslope terrain at the southern portions of the property, and the building's mass is oriented towards the upslope topography of the adjacent neighbor to the north, which is encouraged by the design guidelines. Moving on to design and detail, overall the project incorporates quality materials such as dark gray and light cream colored precast stone veneer, metal panels at the eaves, glass railings at the rear balcony, and the project will include a variety of recessed black aluminum-clad wood windows with once again with a recessed placement with a combination of horizontal sliders, fixed encasement operations. Overall, staff recommends 2 conditions. The first one being to reduce or recede the pool inwards to the hillside approximately 6 to 8 feet to reduce the massing as viewed from the neighborhood below. And number 2 is just to revise drawings with the location of light fixtures for staff review prior to plan check submittal. And this is just to review the lighting on the exterior, that it should be limited to entryways or walkways around the perimeter of the property. And then prior to staff's conclusion of the presentation, 2 opposition letters were received in regards to the first item tonight, which was included in your packet. This concludes my presentation, and if you have any further questions, I'm available.
Thank you. Do either board members, Board Member Welsh?
Regarding condition number 1, the pool itself has a depth at the furthest southerly portion of 5.5 feet, and it appears to me that they're doing a glass wall. So if that portion of a glass wall is 5.5 feet, how is the visibility only 2 to 3 feet that you said, pulling it back?
So I'm going to refer back to my graphic here. As shaded in blue on the right side of the graphic, let me move that back there. The highest portion, or they'd be the top right corner, being that those are 2-foot intervals, and there's 4 of those lines, that the top of that wall will rise to 8 feet above the lowest grade below. As staff is recommending, and if you recede it about 6 to 8 feet, it would move that to a higher portion of the contour, which it would be approximately 2 to 3 feet. As you can see, each contour line is 2 feet. So that's why I'm recommending reducing it and receding it so that that pool wall, the top of it, would shorten in its height.
So, but for all intents and purposes, they would not be able to do a glass wall at the end of the pool because part of it would be
Correct.
subterranean.
Yes, that's correct. You wouldn't put a glass wall on the bottom, I mean, unless it's highly engineered. I'm not an engineer, but, right.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? I don't have any questions at this time. And so I guess we'll open up the public portion of the meeting, and I'll call forward the owner, Tigran Gavorgian. Please state your name. Nice to meet you. Welcome.
We're talking on mic. Good afternoon, my name is Tigran Gavorgian. I was just gonna say that we wanna build this home. We're not developers or anything, we wanna live in the home. Our family's grown, we have 4 children now, my wife and I. The oldest is 13 and the youngest is 3, and now they want their own rooms and want a bigger home, and we just wanna build a home for them. That's it. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
read the comments about the mass, so I wanted to just comment on that, that's it.
Okay. In terms of the size there. Okay. Do we have any questions for the? Okay. Not at this time. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Maine Meloyan. Please come forward and state your name and all that.
Hi, my name is Mona Meloyan. I'm the designer of the project. And yeah, when we started to work with Tigran, we discussed all the requirements that he had. And he had the requirement of having 5 bedrooms, having an open space for kids to play, having a covered space, shades for grandparents. And about the comment in the pool, it's going to be infinity H on that side, so it's going to be only 5 foot visible glass and water from the street side. So I don't think it's kind of integrated into landscape. So, but we will consider the Dennis's proposal, of course. It's the first time I'm hearing this comment, but we'll discuss with it.
Thank you. And do we have any questions for the applicant at this time? Or I guess, sorry, we should check and see if they're callers first, right?
Yeah, no.
Right.
No other questions?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Madam Chair, at the moment, we have no callers.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, since there are no callers and we have no questions for the applicant, I guess we'll open it up for deliberation. Would you like to start?
Yeah.
Okay.
Overall, I think you all did an amazing job with this design of the home. I think it's going to fit really well. Good job, Mane, for the design. I think you did a great job. In regards to the pool, I actually really like the current layout of how the pool looks. I think it definitely, you already are going step back. The home's being set back quite a bit. So, and you're on top of the hill. I personally am okay with it. But yeah, other than that, I think that you all did a great job with this one.
Thank you. Board Member Welsh?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I concur with the design. I think the design is very nicely done. I think it's a very holistic design. It's very modern. It's true to itself. I am a little concerned about the mass, though, because the neighbors do make a good point. It's more than double the average size in the neighborhood, and it does appear quite boxy. So I was going to put forward some suggestions that we can work to minimize some of that. Just by way of example, from the street perspective, the sides go almost straight up and across. And if we could relocate one of those bedrooms, the one that's furthest to, I guess that would be the east, into another area and reorient that, I think that having a larger and more prominent step on the side there, which is the most prominent view from the street, would help mitigate that. It would cut it up a little bit, so rather than just one big monolithic box, it's a little bit more stepped. Perhaps even playing around with varying some of the heights on some of the different sections. After all, it's 11-foot floor to ceiling, 11-foot floor to ceiling on both floors. Doesn't have to be 11 foot on both floors. You can have some sections of it that might be a little less, and so it gives you an opportunity to have some different variety of roof forms, maybe some shed roofs or just different heights. So I think things that you could do that would help mitigate some of that excessive massiveness would be good, or even just scaling it down maybe a little bit, 10% or something like that. The rooms are very large. I think you could squeeze down some of the scope there and still have a very magnificent, beautiful home with lots of glazing, especially the amount of glazing you have is going to open up every room to the view. So I think you could scale it down a little bit and still have really magnificent views and public rooms. And then on the banding that sort of exists between the first floor and the second floor, it's the same stone material as the rest of the facade. And it seemed to me that if you could replicate the fascia board that you're doing at the top, that dark metal, and replicated that in the middle, that might help also break up some of that apparent massing. And I think it would be consistent with the design that you're going with. So I think that would be something that I would throw out there for deliberations here amongst my board members. And then I think finally, let me just check my notes. Oh, the roof color. It's black. I think if I'm understanding it properly, it's being specified as black. And I don't think that a black roof is a good solution here. This is located midway up the hillside, so there's going to be a lot of neighborhoods that will look down on it. And looking down on a black roof, I'm not sure is a good solution. I would suggest that it be something more neutral toned so that it doesn't really pop out like that. Plus, a black roof would just accumulate a lot of heat. So I was going to recommend that be reconsidered. And then I think the last comment I had was if we can pull up the rendering, Dennis, the rear patio there that is adjacent to the pool. I'm wondering if that could, instead of being that thick 1.5-foot depth to it, if that maybe could be done more like the patio cover on the side, which is a more fragile, gentle, thinner kind of structure, and that might help mitigate some of that apparent massiveness for all of the people who might be looking at it from below. So that would be another thing I'd throw out there for consideration. And finally, the pool. I do like the idea of doing that glass-fronted pool. I think it's lovely. I think it would be a nice feature element of it. I think staff's recommendation that it be pulled back a little bit is probably correct, because cantilevering out a pool is generally not considered meeting the design guidelines. So if it could be pulled back just sufficiently that you could still have the full glass wall, but that's pretty much all that would be visible to the neighboring properties. I think that would be a reasonable compromise. so wherever that point would be. So those are my comments, but again, let me just reiterate, it's a beautiful design. I do like the design. I think you've done a very good job there. It's some of the massing and scale issues that I'm trying to give some feedback on. So, thank you.
Thank you. I concur in a lot of ways. Overall, I think it's a great design. I think that it's consistent in aesthetic. It's well balanced, and I think it can clearly have a great eye. I would say that I had the same exact comment. I wrote down monolithic. I think that the size isn't necessarily the issue because it's so well hidden between all the mountains there that I don't know that the square footage is necessarily the issue. Specifically, this elevation in the upper left-hand corner would be the one visible. It's very far set back, but you could, when I went by with the story poles, see that specific location. And so another thought was maybe at that location, I think that was the elevation you were referring to,
yes.
Maybe stepping the top story in a little bit, for instance, as a potential solution. But I do have confidence in this designer to maybe work with staff I would love to hear your thoughts on that as well, to come to that. If we, with a condition perhaps, or maybe a couple conditions on how to meet the design guidelines in this particular elevation. I concur with, I like the idea of the glass pool. I think it's great, and maybe just stepping it in a little bit would be sufficient. Let's see, I wanted to get clarification on your comment regarding the thickness of the deck. So that's something that I wasn't quite clear which thinner deck you were referring to, if you could.
So, yeah, if you look in the upper right corner, Dennis is highlighting that thinner one that is represented in the plans. And
Okay.
if you look to the right, that covered patio has a very thick roof layering on top of that.
Correct.
And as far as I'm aware, it's just a patio. It's not
Right.
the house. So
Right.
if that section could also be done in that thinner structure, that would be less apparently massive. At least
Right.
that's what I was throwing out there for our
Yeah, it would break up
deliberations.
the mass. My only concern would be that right now it feels like it's kind of stepping down the topography because it does have a little more mass. So that would be my only, I would, yeah. I think I'd love to hear your thoughts too as well. Board, yeah.
Yeah,
Board Member
I mean-
Visconti.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I personally like the way it looks. I don't have an issue with it.
Okay. And let's see, in terms of the other, I do think that we need to take down the scale in some ways, and perhaps materials, where I think you did, I don't know if you mentioned that. You mentioned bringing like the band into the, I think that's a great idea.
Across the midpoint.
Across the midpoint. I think a band at the midpoint would really assist in breaking down the scale of this. And a consideration for maybe even two different materials on, top and bottom of the house to break it up further. But I think overall we have a consensus, though. Do you think that redesign is required?
I don't think a redesign is required. I think the architect is obviously talented here. I think that we can just make some conditions here that they can take into account and
I
work
agree.
out with staff. Just clarity on the second floor on that front facade one.
Mm-hmm.
What I was trying to say was pulling it actually from the side, not from the front back, because it's already set back maybe a foot, couple foot or something like that. It's really more so on that left side where it just gets straight up and down that I thought it was a little too massive in its approach, because just like you, I went to the site, I looked at the story poles, and I was like struck by,
It's a big block.
It's a big block.
Or that
And,
one-
yeah, and so whatever could be done to help mitigate that particular portion of the facade, which is the most prominent
Mm-hmm.
to the street.
Yeah.
I think a combination of materials and then setting it in a little bit at the side. I think that you're right. That's sufficient. Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion?
To
Or-
summarize.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah,
Yes,
summarize.
I know
right.
we covered a
Right.
lot.
We did.
I do have a lot of bullet points, so I'm going to try to get rid of a lot of these redundancies. So, a lot of the comments were regard to mass. Some of it was regards to the box. I think we're going to jump into the left side above the garage, stepping that back to reduce like a tall wall, perhaps receding it from the lower level. I think it's from the side, maybe even from the front. I'm not too sure. There were some comments about changing the roof line height, or maybe maybe using different roof forms, whether a shed roof or varying the parapet height or something to break up that area. I did hear about lowering the floor to ceiling height as they're proposing 11 feet. Replicating the material of that aluminum band across the eave parapet on the second level onto the first level. We did have discussion or a comment about the black roof. Are we talking about the actual flat roof, or are we just talking about the
In the material board, it specifies that the color is black.
right?
Right.
Right.
I concur with that as well, too.
Which I think may be addressed by building and safety for
Right.
cool roofs or something
Yeah.
like that.
Well,
But
they do have a black cool roof that's available, but I think I agree, it's a lot for people
Yeah,
looking down on
and
it.
this is a very visible from many of the homes up on the hillside above it, so
Sure.
I think something that's more, an earth toned or neutral tone would be more in keeping with the design guidelines.
Correct.
Noted. Continuing the weight of the patio structure along the building's facade to match the weight of the patio on the side, adjacent to where the current location of the spa is.
I'm not sure we reached consensus on that. Do you feel that we did, or?
No, I think you mentioned that you like it.
Yeah, I
as-
personally don't have an issue with it. But
I don't either. I think
Yeah.
I kind of like the volume it creates at the base.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Okay,
you want to put
but-
it in as
yeah,
a consideration.
If we could put it in as a consideration,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last one is regards to staff's condition about receding the pool. I think the consensus was, and it's best, I guess, we look at the graph or the section here. Sorry, I don't remember where exactly it's at. I had it up. And I'm going to zoom in here. I think the compromise would be to recede the pool or the Finney pool, where it would barely, it would just be the exposure height of the 5 foot high pool wall instead of having that cantilever portion. So it would recede. It looks like here it's going to be 3 feet, 2 feet 9 inches. So maybe we say that only the glass walls exposed of approximately 5 feet.
Okay.
And
That
I
sounds
think
great.
the rest of them were echoed comments.
Correct. Yeah, I think we had a consensus.
Yeah, so I guess how I would phrase the condition regarding the massing is for the applicant to work with staff to reduce the apparent massing of the house in those particular areas, or using those potential options that we laid out in the discussion, particularly around that front facade above the garage area.
Correct.
And then secondly, to swap out the material of that, the banding between the first and second floor to mimic the upper floor fascia. And I think that would really cover what we concurred on, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Staff works with the applicant. Are we talking about, when we're talking about reducing the massing, and it appears that there's a walk-in closet, there's a new bedroom here, are we talking about the width of approximately, I just kind of want to get the essence of what the board's thoughts and feelings are in here. Are we talking about just the walk-in closet, the bathroom, the bathroom of the adjacent bedroom, of the approximate? I know we don't want to get too specific here, but just get the essence of as staff works with the applicant, I don't want to ask for too much or too little.
Well, when I looked at it, and what made me think about this is because if you've got the second bedroom there that's just to the upper left, if you just replicated that to the right and took away a little bit of that patio and that exposed second floor volume, you could replicate that bedroom and completely eliminate that bedroom that was to the left there above the garage. That would accomplish the same thing, and, all you're giving up is, a slightly elevated portion of the second floor
Right.
volume, the cubic volume of that living room, but, that was an option. That was what I was thinking about when I was thinking, okay, how would I do this so I
Yeah.
get the same bedroom count, but, change that massing.
Right.
It doesn't have to be that way. I'm just suggesting that that was what occurred to me that made it feasible in my mind.
Right.
But, there are other ways. Again, the way I'm wording the condition is to reduce the apparent massing.
Right.
It is
Reduce
not
the apparent.
necessarily to specifically change the square footage or lower it, although I still think that it could be squeezed down successfully and still be as magnificent a house as it is. But certainly just that apparent massing, particularly at that facade.
And staff will work with the applicant as far as the change of materials, maybe create a break in plane, playing with the roof height, maybe you were to play with the volumes that way, just to break up the
Correct.
boxiness and the tall, two-story tall wall as viewed from down the driveway. Okay,
Correct.
great, thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you for that clarification.
So with that, I'll move the motion to approve with conditions.
I second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Board Member Welsh, and I have a second by Board Member Cascanian. This will be roll call. Board Member Cascanian,
Yes?
Board Member Welsh,
Yes.
Madam Chair Lakaroff.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to our next item on the agenda, we do have Ms. Babakani here to introduce item B, which is located at 1540 Virginia Avenue. We're just going to give her a brief moment to get her all set up and get her presentation ready.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good evening, board members and members of public. This case before you is a design review application with case number PDR 002556-2023 for a proposed development located at 1540 Virginia Avenue. The project site is 13,440 square feet interior lot located in the R1 zone, floor area ratio District 2. The lot is irregular in shape and it is similar to other neighboring properties in the neighborhood. The lot is developed already with an existing 2,812 square foot two-story home and a detached two-car garage, both built in 1931. Research conducted by historic preservation staff found that the property is not eligible for historic designation at the federal, state, and local level, and is therefore not considered a historic resource under the CEQA. The project is proposing to add a new 669 square foot two-story addition, to add a new master bedroom suite, and 77 square foot one-story addition at the rear of the existing two-story home. The project also includes demolition of 215 square foot floor area at the side and rear of the house, interior remodeling, facade remodeling, new walkway, and window and door change out throughout the house. The project also includes a new 324 square foot rear balcony. The project will remove an approximately 45% of the existing walls and roof area. There are no proposed changes to the location of the driveway, and also there's no proposed change to the existing detached two-car garage. On this slide, you can see the existing condition of the house, a front, rear facade, and also the side, and also the front facade of the existing garage. On this slide, you can see the subject property in relation to the adjacent two-story homes on each side, to the north and to the south. The neighborhood context consists of primarily two-story homes, which almost 58% of the homes within 300 feet linear of the subject property being two-story. In terms of the site planning of this project, the project doesn't alter the site planning significantly, since the one-story rear addition is only 77 square feet in order to enlarge the existing family room. And also the one-story addition follows the existing building lines and setbacks. The existing 50-foot street front setback will be reduced to 44 feet and 7 inches, and this reduction is due to an addition of a new open courtyard with the 3-foot tall stucco walls, which will be added to the southwest side of the front facade with access to the existing living room. The project does not significantly change the existing landscaping, and the existing walkway on the front yard will be removed, and a new walkway along the existing driveway will be constructed. And also, there are no changes to the existing boundary walls of this house. This slide shows the roof plan at the first floor, existing roof plan, and the proposed roof plan, and the highlighted area, which shows the area of the roof removal. And on this slide, you can see the existing first floor and the proposed first floor. The highlighted walls are the walls that will be removed. And here we have the existing second floor plan and the proposed second floor plan. Sorry for the labeling, it's a second floor. And you can see the location of the rear balcony on this floor plan. For the mass and scale of this project, staff believes that the proposed additions and change of the existing roof forms at the second floor are appropriately proportioned, are integrated well into the existing design, and relate to the neighborhood context, which I mentioned consists of primarily two-story homes. The overall height of the home, this home will be increased slightly by 2 inches and will be 21 feet and 5 inches versus the existing height of 21 feet and 3 inches. The overall height limit in this zone is 28 feet. The proposed roof is a combination of gabled and hipped roof, which reinforce the proposed design concept and are appropriate to the neighborhood context. I put the rear elevation and also the side elevation, the north side, on this slide for you to see. And for the design and detailing of this project. The proposed materials, colors, and design and detailing, including smooth stucco finish, stone veneer cladding, two-piece tile roofing material, and new balcony railings, are consistent and reinforce the proposed contemporary Spanish-style design concept, which is appropriate to the neighborhood context. However, in order to better distribute the finished materials, a condition of approval is recommended to wrap the stone veneer to the south wing wall above the entry porch. The location of the existing front entry porch remains unchanged. The new windows would be black color fiberglass windows that would be recessed within walls with exterior seals with combination of picture, fixed, casement, and hung windows. The windows overall appear to be appropriate to the proposed remodel and addition. However, a condition of approval is recommended to revise the design of the bedroom window at the second floor at the front facade to be consistent with the design and operation of other windows throughout the house in terms of the vertical configuration and also the operation. The proposed second-story addition, along with the new 324 square foot balcony at the rear, will not create privacy conflict with the surrounding neighbors. A 6-foot high privacy wall is proposed at the south side of the new balcony to create a new buffer. Also, the existing tall landscaping along the south property line helps to block views. On this slide, you can see the cut-sheets of exterior material and finishes that were provided by the applicant. And in the conclusion, staff recommends approval of this design review case with 3 conditions, which is to wrap the stone veneer to the south wing wall above the entry porch, revise the window design, as I mentioned, at the second floor, and also update the plans to include the appropriate location and design of the new gutters and downspouts. Staff didn't receive any public comments for this case, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. I have one quick question regarding the historic review. Were you the one that did that review, or was it done? Who conducted the historic
And the
review?
historic preservation staff,
Great, thank
the
you.
city, they did the review.
Okay,
And the result of the review was that this property is not eligible for designation,
I
the
see.
historic resources.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
We have any other questions? Okay, no more questions at this time, so we'll move on to the public portion of the meeting. Could the owner, Roman Sarkeesian, please come forward? Hi, welcome.
Hi, Board. How are you?
Good, thank you.
My name is Roman Sarkeesian. I've been a lifelong resident of Glendale. The main purpose for this addition is to create a master bedroom upstairs for our family, as right now just 2 bedrooms upstairs. And we look forward to hearing a recommendation from staff and the board.
Okay, Board Member Welsh.
Hi.
Hi.
So a few questions. The current, that sort of curved entryway there has an arch in it.
Yes.
Is your intention to keep the arch or to square it out?
We wanted to square it out more, open it up a little bit, because once you open the door, you can't really see what's to your right. So our intention was to make it a little bit bigger and square it off in the top.
Okay. And you're changing the roof form above the existing second floor. Right now, it's sort of a hip roof, and you're changing it to a gable end there.
Yes.
Can you explain why?
I just think it looks better.
Okay.
I like the A-frame in the front.
Okay.
I just think it looks more suitable and brings up the roof a little bit more, so it looks nicer to look at.
Are you going to try and repurpose the existing tiles? Because
No.
new tile, oh, so you're going to use all new tiles?
We
for
have
the
to.
whole roof?
We have to, yes.
Okay.
They're pretty old and dated, so everything needs to be changed, yes.
Okay. And the balcony door there on that second floor, I assume that the one that is in the new plan is actually larger in scale than the current one? Looks like the current one is maybe 3.5, 4 feet or something like that in width, and the new one is going to be 5.5?
It's a little bit taller than what it is now, and the reason is so it could be symmetric with the front door.
No, not that. I'm talking about the bedroom, where there's a little Juliet balcony there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a door, right?
Yes.
A French door.
Yes. Yes.
And that will be a different size?
Yes.
Width-wise and height-wise?
I believe it's 6 inches wider and about 6 inches taller than what it is now.
Okay,
It's not a lot bigger than what it is.
okay. And the doors that exist right now in the living room that face onto the street, they're quite unique, you know, in their styling and detailing there, but they're being replaced with just 2 arch doors.
Yes.
Can you tell me why you wanted to do that?
I just think the existing is a little bit small for the size of the room, and we wanted to make it a little bit bigger for more lighting. It's the primary reason, and just to be symmetric with everything else on the first floor.
Okay. Okay, all right. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
No
Okay,
questions.
I don't have questions at this time. Thank you. Okay, and then the consultant, project manager, Danny Messarian. Please come forward and state your name. Thank you.
Good evening,
Good evening.
commissioners. Thank you for being here today and taking your time to review the project. Eileen, thank you for the presentation. It was a great presentation. I'm the consultant of the project, and the owner is here as well. Unfortunately, the architect couldn't be here today, so me and him will be doing our best to answer all your questions. As you know, the scope of work is 669 square foot addition to the second floor and 77 square feet to the first floor at the rear. So the total floor area of the house is going to be 3,343 square feet after the additions. The garage will be staying in the same exact location, same size, no changes to that. I'm going to briefly go through the site planning, massing, and design detailing. The lot's located in the R1 zone. We comply with the FAR, the lot coverage, the landscaping requirements. We're not proposing to significantly alter the existing landscaping, only the portion at the front where the new walkway is going to be. And the one-story addition follows the existing area of footprint of the house. So it's quite similar, so it's going to, more or less be the same. Regarding the massing, the new roof forms are appropriately proportioned and well integrated into the existing roof forms. The mass of the second floor is recessed back, as you can see, breaking up the building, and there's a portion in the middle, so there's like 3 different portions there, which makes it less, look less boxy, which is consistent with the design guidelines. And we believe the combination of gabled and hip roof forms reinforce the proposed design concept. The materials being used can be found on page A10. And then regarding condition number 1, the existing plans show the stone veneer wrapped, and we're open to wrapping that even more. So we're okay with that. And regarding this second floor window, the bedroom window, there was a condition for that. So we're open to any other designs for that one window. And then when we revise the plans, we will give the gutters and downspout locations as well. So that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Okay. Do we have any questions? No. Okay. I just have one. Just throwing this idea out there, would you consider removing the stone veneer entirely versus wrapping it? Design-wise,
I think
is there
that's
a purpose for it?
Yeah, I think that's a owner call. I'm not the
Okay,
owner of the house.
okay.
So
Okay.
maybe Roman, would you like to answer that question?
Okay, just checking. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's it for me for questions. And so, do we have, oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Do we have any callers?
We do not have any caller at this
Okay,
moment.
great. So we'll close the public portion and open for deliberations. Board Member Walsh, would you like to start this one?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, generally speaking, I'm in support of the project. I think it's, scaled well, it blends into the neighborhood. I concur with staff's recommendation about that window. That was really the one that jumped out at me, is that it's just that horizontal look with the picture window, just not in character. So I think coming up with some other solution, maybe 2 slightly larger but vertically oriented windows in that area would work quite well. I think I'm in concurrence with you about the stone veneer. I'm not sure that the stone veneer really works that well. I think that the design will be perfectly fine without it. I think you have a lot of detailing there and everything like that. So I think that would be good. The only other thing that I would recommend is that the 2 facade lights on the left-hand side that flank that window, those should go. The ones on the right, I think, are a lot of light, but you have a patio there. You have a justification for why you have those lights there. The ones on the left, not so much. So I don't like a lot of excessive lighting on facades when there's really no practical purpose for it. So that is what I would recommend as an additional condition to remove those. The ones on the right, I think, are fine because there is an actual patio, and it's probably intended to be more functional than can be done right now. So that's really about it. I'm generally fine with it. And again, I think you've done a good job making it, a modest proposal. It's in keeping with the neighborhood, and, it's a shame to lose some of the historical design elements that are there, but I think that's, it'll still be a cleaner, modern design, and we'll be okay. So, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Kiscani.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do agree. I really like the way the house looks right now. It's very cozy. But I do agree, you all did a really good job with the design of the new house. But overall, I'm in support of this project, and I do support the recommendations that our staff made. And I agree in regards to the lights as well. So, yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, we're in agreement. I think it's a nice design overall. It gives a nod to the historic, which I appreciate. You didn't completely abandon it, and I really do appreciate that. And it still has a similar balance, and the facade's broken up sufficiently that it doesn't feel massive. I would say removing the stone veneer, I'm glad we're all on the same page. I think it suits the neighborhood better. It's not as common on the Spanish-style homes there to have the stone veneer. So I think without it would look clean and meet the guidelines. I would say in terms of the windows, my one comment, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it as well, is it's almost too much repetition of arches on the first floor. I was really liking the original where underneath on the far left-hand side there was a square window on that side, just to give a little asymmetry because the house itself is asymmetrical. So I'd love to hear your thoughts if maybe it's a consideration, or I don't know. And the other thing, I agree with removing the lights, those extra lights on that side as well. And I love the railing. I think that's a nice choice. So I think some of the material choices were quite nice. In terms of conditions, I also agree about the window, that horizontal window at the top there being suiting the design, and working with staff on that. Let's see if I have anything else. I think that's it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the first floor window to the far left, just that one arch, if having that square, and or considering maybe that bringing back that entry arch underneath the balcony. So I feel like it needs some work on the first floor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to the shape of it. To me, it seemed a little bit overscaled. I would,
Right.
if it were me, I would scale it down maybe to 90% of that or something, because it is pretty prominent within the, palette of that wall. Maybe the arched front entry door, because right now it looks like it is a square entry door, just squared off. So
Right.
if maybe the front entry door remained a squared off door, then that would help balance, the arches on either side. But, yeah, I mean, it generally doesn't bother me. I just think that both that window and the doors above it are just a little bit overscaled for
I-
the size of the walls.
Right.
So if it were my preference, I would, squeeze them down, like I said, maybe
Little bit in
80%,
size.
90% to be the size of what they are now.
Okay. For the door above as well?
The door,
is-
well,
or
especially if you squeeze down the window, I think you've got to
Right.
squeeze down the door
Right,
above
they
it,
need
too.
to be in alignment.
They need to be in alignment, or at least, where you have a hierarchy of size. So the ones on the second floor are,
Right.
slightly bit smaller than the one on the first.
Right. And I think you're right that it could be that the door in the center is also square, or, to balance that. So it could be either or. So perhaps there's a more general condition to work with staff on the balance of the door and window. I don't, I think.
Phrase it how you like, I mean, I think that they've generally done a fine job, and
Right,
I'm,
so maybe it's more
we're
of a.
quibbling here really
Right,
a little
we're
bit, but
maybe picking on, yeah, okay, then a consideration. It sounds like, right.
Consideration, so we were talking about this Juliet balcony door and also the window here, with
The
arch
win-
window,
Right,
to be scaled down or reduced in size.
reduced in scale just a little
Slightly,
bit,
right, just,
slightly.
a
just for a little bit more
And-
asymmetry. That or the door in the middle being more square, it's just some
The
kind
front
of
entry
balance.
door, right? The
Correct.
main entry door.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Or this one to be squared off.
Correct.
So either this, okay.
Right.
Either this or that.
Right.
Okay.
And it's just a question, do we make these conditions,
I
or
think
do
a
we just?
consideration, a
considerations?
consideration.
Just a
is okay.
consideration,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And otherwise, I think it's lovely. The main thing, I think, would be the removal of the stone veneer as an additional condition.
Do you want me to go over condition
Yes,
briefly?
please, that would be great.
So, we have, we agreed that the stone veneer should be removed as a condition. So that condition, wrapping the stone veneer, would be removed as well, which doesn't apply here anymore. The window above, for the window for the new addition at the second floor will be redesigned. And also the lights fixture at this area, which is adjacent to dining room, will be removed. And the plans will be updated to show the appropriate location of the gutter and downspout. And the one consideration that you had about changing, reducing the size of these doors slightly or square off the front entry door. Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve with the recommendations.
Second?
Second, Mr. Welch? Okay, thank you. And this is a roll call. Madam Chair,
Yes.
Board Member Kaskanian,
Yes.
Board Member Welch.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck. Thank you.
Is there any way, correct, chance to say something about one of the windows?
I
I
think
think
it's finished.
it's closed. Yeah, thank you.
Introduce the second one?
Yes,
Or the third one? Okay, moving on to our third item, item C, which is located at 1242 and 1246 South Maryland Avenue. And I'm going to turn it over to our case planner, Eileen Babakani.
Okay, this is a quite different case. So, this design review case with the case number PDR 002512-2023 is for a proposed development located at 1242 and 1246 South Maryland Avenue. The project site is 15,000 square feet located on the east side of Maryland Avenue and contains two adjoining vacant lot with a relatively flat topography. This slide shows the existing condition of the site and the proposed development, which is a new 3-story, 12-unit multifamily residential building for a total of 17,685 square feet, which features 2 affordable units restricted to very low-income household with a 1-level subterranean parking garage to include 26 parking spaces. The project is zoned R2250P, which stands for a medium-density residential parking overlay zone. The immediate properties surrounding the subject site includes 2-story multifamily buildings to the north and south, 2- and 3-story commercial buildings to the east, basically to the rear of the sites, and a 2- and 3-story parking structure for commercial and industrial use across the street to the west side. The project is exempt from further CEQA review under a Class 32 infill development project. And on June 13, 2023, the Director of Community Development Department approved density bonus case number PDPP 0003302022 to allow the construction of this project with 2 affordable units reserved for very low-income household with 3 concessions. The concessions were for increased floor area, exceeded height limit, and reduced common outdoor space. The approved letter is attached to the staff report for your reference. In terms of the site planning of this project, it is appropriate to the site, and its neighboring properties consist of commercial and residential buildings. The new development provides large and appropriate setbacks along the street front and interior property lines, meeting the zoning code requirements. The proposed one-level subterranean parking garage will provide 26 parking spaces, as I mentioned, and will include 2 guest parking spaces, and will have vehicular access from Maryland Avenue. The project is also in compliance with the parking ratios allowed for density bonus projects. Pedestrian access to the parking garage is provided from the common open space at the front and rear of the building through elevator and stairs, which are appropriately incorporated into the overall design of this building. The outdoor common space and additional open space are well integrated into the site and are accessible easily from all units. The proposed landscape plan is complementary to the building design and includes drought-tolerant plants. There is no protected trees on the site or within 20 feet of the site. However, there are 4 street trees adjacent to the subject site. All trees are in fair condition, and urban forestry requires the trees to be removed and replaced with 4 replacement trees. The project's drawing accurately address the street trees replacements. The project proposes 8-foot tall perimeter wall with a concrete block at the lower portion and railing on the top, along the side and rear property lines with appropriate setbacks from the street front property line. Also, landscaping is proposed in the front of the wall to minimize its visibility and provide buffers to enhance the privacy of adjacent properties. The proposed rooftop equipment is appropriately integrated into the design. In terms of the mass and scale of this project, the mass and scale are appropriate to the surrounding development pattern and fit within the neighborhood context, consist of multi-story residential and commercial buildings. Although the building exceeds the height and floor area through the concession of the density bonus case, and the project's mass and scales are mitigated by the proposed articulations, use of different exterior wall finishes, various colors, and also flat roof forms. The additional factors that help to reduce the apparent massing and avoid the buildings to have overwhelming appearance include the separated building volumes through a design of a middle courtyard and the project's large setbacks which exceed the zoning code requirements. For the roof form, it is appropriate to the overall design concept, which is a contemporary architectural style. I have the floor plan of this project, second floor and third floor on this slide. And here I have the front elevation of the proposed building. Here we have the side elevation along with the section drawing through the subterranean garage. Rear elevation and the side elevation facing north. And here is one section drawing through the building, and you can see the detail of the boundary wall that the architect provided on the drawing on this slide. And in terms of the design and details, staff believes that the proposed architectural details, colors, and combination of materials, including a smooth cement plaster, composite horizontal wood siding, metal canopies, tempered glass panel railing for the balconies, metal gates and handrails, and fiberglass windows reinforce the proposed contemporary architectural styles and are consistent with the neighborhood context of various architectural styles. The location of the primary entrance to the building is well designed and integrated into the design appropriately. All entrances to the units are from the courtyard. All new windows would be fiberglass with the dark bronze color, recessed within the walls without seal and exterior frame, with combination of casement, fixed, hung, and horizontal sliding, which are compatible with the proposed architectural style. The driveway is proposed to have permeable concrete paving. A condition of approval is recommended to provide the design of the proposed finish to be appropriate to the overall design concept. Staff recommends the approval of this design review case with two conditions. One condition which I mentioned about providing details for the permeable concrete finish for the driveway, and the condition to comply with the conditions of approval for the density bonus case. Staff didn't receive any public comments for this design review case, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions from the fellow board members? I just have a simple question. If you go back to the plan, I know that there was a reduction that was allowed for the common open space. Can you point to the areas to just clarify where the common open space is on the plan? Or the usable common open space? I know
I think I don't have it on the slide. Let me bring it up on the drawings.
a bit of both, and especially just understanding what's usable versus, not.
The hatched area that are shown here on the drawing are the area that will be used for the common open space, which will be at the rear, this area,
Okay.
and at the front in this area, outside of the street front setback.
So the area at the front isn't common open, the very front?
No, this cannot be. According
right,
to our
right,
zoning code, it is
right.
not allowed to use
I
the
see.
front setback for the common open
Right.
space.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. Thank you. And then, since we don't have any other questions, I'll call forward the architect, Hamlet. And if you could please state your name.
Of course. Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Hamlet Zorabians. I'm the project architect. And the presentation that Eileen did was very thorough, so I don't know what else to go through it. But as far as clarifying your question, common open area is designed in the rear of the project. What is you're seeing in the front is an additional landscaping that current code requires me to have. It's because the property is wider than 90 feet. And in those cases, you have to provide, 900 plus 20% of the difference of the, over and above the 90 feet that you have to provide. So that's what is designated there. But that's an extra landscaping. So what that does to us is that the building is, instead of having 23 feet average setback in the front, you have 40 feet setback. I know I was part of it, but the new regulations and everything with the multifamily is coming together, and I think that's going to change a lot of things. But this is designed based on the current codes, and that's why we see this there. So the project is a central courtyard project. That gives me an opportunity to have bedrooms also, extra bedrooms towards inside. So therefore, all the units are 3-bedroom, and it brings light and ventilation and everything into the center. And it just opens up the project. It gives more articulation, separates the buildings from each other, and so you can see that there's a lot of articulation going on. The extra height that we have requested is not a full story. The owner particularly didn't want to go to the 4th story, and so that we stayed with the 3-story. We could have requested that, but nevertheless, we wanted the roof to be up and down and articulated, and that was the reason. So we are exceeding 36 feet because that's allowed only, it's a maximum for the flat roofs, and we didn't want to go to slope roofs, and we've exceeded that for 4 feet, and that's the reason we are taking one of our concessions. But other than that, the project is very moderate project. It's not maximizing anything by all means. But nevertheless, we are, allocating 2 affordable units, which are really, really nice. I don't think there is any units as such in that area there, because this is a pretty large, sizable units. These are about 1350 average and 3 bedrooms. And so 2 of them are devoted to affordable units. So I'm available. If there's any questions, I can perhaps answer.
Great, thank you so much for explaining it. And do we have any questions from the board? No, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any callers?
We don't have any callers.
Okay.
It appears there is an issue with the call system, so Mr. Joe is trying to see
I see.
the problem.
Okay. Oh. Maybe we'll wait for that.
So we do not have any caller at this
Okay.
point.
Okay.
1 second.
Okay.
So we do not have any caller at this moment, but it appears that there is a problem with our call center, so
Okay.
we're trying to fix the problem.
Okay. And how do we proceed given that? For
We need to figure out how. Mr. Joe, do we have the problem fixed? Madam Chair was asking if there was any caller.
So we were having some technical difficulties with people calling in. We do have one caller in regards to the first item, my item I presented tonight.
Okay.
And we would still like to have him, we would like to have them be heard for their public testimony.
Okay.
I don't see that there are any callers for this time
For
being.
item.
Because I know I don't see anything in the queue, what I'm going to do is,
Okay.
if you can continue discussion, I'm just going to verify, and maybe we log back off here. We'll try to get the technical issues done.
Okay. So we can
But,
hear from that other
Yeah, maybe
caller.
we can continue, and then we'll verify everything. if you
Okay.
can.
That sounds good.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, well, while we're waiting,
Yes, go.
I'd like to just go ahead and throw out something for Mr. Zarabians. A lot of these multifamilies that we see in density bonus projects, they typically throw a roof deck. And I'm just wondering what your thinking was around that and why the owner didn't want to do any kind of a 4th store or roof deck. Yeah, please.
Yes, please.
Well, the main reason being, I don't think anyone per se, when he's designing a building, they want to for sure give you a roof deck, because everything is driven by the cost of the construction itself. And the whole premises of the density bonus is to allow you more building, give you some incentives, but understanding that that should not cost you much more than what it's supposed to. So in other words, they will give you first floor, they will allow you to have first floor parking structure. Not going to subtenant garage necessarily, as an example, what I'm saying. So a lot of times we have to. That's why we are providing the roof deck. Some owners decided that way is because if they're going to be going to a condominium situation and then they want to eventually go to condo units, then they like to have more personal things there. I have a project that is 30 units, and that's a substantial amount of units, and there's no way that you can actually have the common area in the first floor. I cannot satisfy it there. So therefore, I'm forced to do some common area on the roof. On this particular one, it was not necessary, and he was going to go with the rental units, and we do have ample space in the first floor, not providing for the roof. I personally have a lot of projects with roof deck, especially in LA area and everything. That really is warranted. You have to do that there. So that's the reason.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, and that you said there are no callers about the
There is no
specific.
caller
So
at
we
this
can
moment.
start deliberation on this
I
item.
believe so.
Okay, okay. I guess I can start this one off. Overall, I approve of this project. I think it's well articulated. The variation in heights and colors are appreciated. I also appreciate the larger setback at the front. I think it's going to the site. That breathing room was I think it'll be appreciated in the neighborhood. I think that the use is very appropriate, and having a density project in this location is very appropriate. I'm really thrilled to see the 3 bedroom units that you mentioned, especially for the low-income housing. So I think overall I support this project, and yeah, that's all. I think I agree with staff's conditions. Would you like to?
Yep, thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, overall, I do support this project. I do agree, it's being built in a really good area too, much needed. I'm happy to see that it's going to be 3 bedrooms. I do appreciate the fact that there are going to be those low-income housing that's going to have the 3-bedroom options. It's really good. But yeah, overall, I think you all did a great job with the design of the house. It is going to look great on the street, the current street that it's on. So I'm excited to see it blossom.
I concur. I've been waiting for a project on this site for a long time, for many years. I live not very far away and walk this area very frequently and have been waiting for something on this site. So again, I think you've done a very good job, modest in scale, fully parked. I think that's, the neighborhood couldn't ask for more consideration than that. And the only little thing I might suggest is that a little bit more color contrast between the 2 stucco colors. They seem a little too similar, and I'd like a little more contrast, but aside from that, I think it's very well done. I think you've done a good job breaking up the massing. I think it's appropriately scaled for the neighborhood and very, very much needed housing in that area. So, thank you.
Just to comment on the 2 stucco colors, I agree. Maybe just a slight.
Little bit more contrast.
Yeah, more contrast. Not a huge amount, but it would help to break things up a little bit more. So yeah, that's a good point. And I liked your idea of the roof deck, but I know that's like not needed. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice because this is a good area for it. But
yeah, I think it would make it pretty popular too. So can always be a consideration, I guess. So if you're the owner, but okay, okay. So I don't know if someone wants. You want to read back here?
So we are going to have this as a condition, right? Various contrast on the stucco color.
a little bit more contrast on the stucco. Yeah.
Do
that's
you
it.
agree?
Condition.
Okay.
And we had a condition for just to provide design pattern for the permeable concrete for the driveway.
Okay.
So we have basically 3 conditions.
Yep.
And if we have motion,
Motion to approve with the set conditions.
Second.
thank you. Board Member Welch,
Yes.
Board Member Kaskanian,
Yes.
Madam Chair Lakarev.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Motion passes.
Thank you. Good luck.
Madam Chair, members of the board, it's been a quite challenging evening with technology, but we do believe we have it settled. We do have a caller online that'd like to speak about item B, which was 1540 Virginia Avenue. I would like to call them up if we can have his public testimony be heard.
That would be
We're
great.
going to open up the public forum for item B as well, so.
Do we also have A as well after?
We don't have, I thought it was for item A, but I was mistaken, so it was item B, just for 1540 Virginia.
Okay.
Perfect.
That would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
I can take the call.
Answer, just ask them to let them know they're.
Alan?
Yes, I'm
Good
here.
evening, you're live with the Design Review Board. Please state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you. My name is Alan Durham. I'm a resident of Northwest Glendale. Chair Lockerett Board, thank you for letting me speak. I was calling in from the beginning of this meeting and kept getting, just a voice recording of the lines are not open and call back when there's a public meeting going on. And of course, it's after hours for the city of Glendale, so you can't call anyone in the city. Fortunately, I had council member Kasakian's numbers, and he's the one who got through to somebody telling them the lines weren't open. But, it's concerning that anyone who tried to call in for most of the meeting was not able to. And you don't know, what they might have said or how many callers there might have been. And of course, now it's all water under the bridge. But I was calling, and so I think it's extremely important that whoever is responsible for making sure phone lines are open before a public meeting, make sure that they're open and that there isn't any problem. Shouldn't really happen. My comments on 1540 Virginia, I wish I had been heard before the board made its decision, because maybe then I had the same comments that the board members had, but maybe if I had been able to call in and express them, they wouldn't just be considerations, but they would have been conditions for that project. Because, the very same points bothered me about the facade, and to me they weren't quibbles, as board member Welsh said. To me, they were more important than that and should have been conditions rather than considerations. And I also question why the planner did not focus on the light fixtures, which obviously don't meet Glendale's guidelines that specify light fixtures should be appropriately located to avoid overlit facades. And that box was not checked on the planner's report. And to me, it was obvious that it should have been. That should have been identified, quickly as a problem. And I'm glad that you are requiring that those 2 extra fixtures be eliminated. Thank you.
Well, thank you for staying on the line for a while and getting through. We appreciate your comments. And just to be clear, so that there were a couple conditions made, not conditions, but actual conditions made, not considerations. I think the only one that was a consideration was the window, just to clarify that one
It was
point.
a part of the conditions of the approval for that project. to remove
Correct.
The light fixtures.
Correct, yes, just to clarify that. I think that concludes our meeting. So thank you again to the caller.
So, Madam Chair, just for the record, that we don't have any other callers.
Okay.
The Community Development Department does not have any further updates, and this would lead us to the adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
We have moved to adjourn at 6:42 p.m. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.